y'all? We out here. This is the Buff Missionary once again in the small town of Gythio, South Greece, about 45 kilometers south of Sparta, where all the events of the last weekend happened. And I might sound a little bit tired. I might look a little bit tired. I'm sunburned, I'm chapped, but we out here. I'll show you on the map so you can get a little bit of an idea where I am and how off the traditional path of Greece this is. I never expected to be here, but it's how it all worked out, and I'm glad for it. Changed up the game a little bit, so it is what it is. I wanted to talk about Spartan a little bit. There was about 2,000 people out here for this Spartan Trifecta World Championship, which is super dope. Really limited event. Not as many people as usually you'd find at a normal Spartan or any other kind of Spartan. But last year was the first year I completed a trifecta. If you know, you know. I won't go into all the details of that because that's not the point of this video. But when I got the invite in March of this year to sign up and join, I said, oh, are you kidding me? A Spartan race in Sparta? It must be done. So without hesitation, I think a week after I got that invite, I signed up and I said, all right, man, we're gonna make this thing happen. I had all these grand plans for training, running. That didn't happen. But the cool thing about Spartan is, regardless of your fitness level and just wherever you might be on the scale of health, I guess you could say, for lack of a better way of explaining it, it doesn't matter. Once you show up to these events, once you get to the starting line, once you get ramped up by all the other people who are there to do the same thing as you, there's something that just clicks. There's just something that happens. I say this in part because the first slogan that really struck me from the very beginning when I heard about Spartan was, "You'll know at the finish line." And you know, you think about finish line, it's called Spartan race. So you think about, oh, well, yeah, when you get to the finish line. But to me, there's a little bit of a deeper meaning that can be applied here, and just a deeper thought process that I like to think Spartan also has in mind here. When we're talking about a finish line, you're talking about a common starting place, and you're also talking about a common goal. You're aiming towards something, you're moving in the same direction, and there's some kind of realization that you'll get to at the finish line, and it's related to that knowledge, that whatever that thing is that you're gonna know at the finish line, whatever it took for you to get to that point, to cross that finish line, all contributes to this new understanding that you have at the finish line. It sounds simple, and I might be making it sound confusing at the same time. But the reason I'm saying this is because when I try to convince other people to do Spartan race, or some of the people here I talk to talk about trying to get their friends and others around them to do it as well, there's this hesitation like, oh man, you'd put yourself through that kind of pain, that kind of agony just for that, and you'd pay for it. But it's something that you won't understand why so many people do it until you get to the finish line. There's something about it, and Spartan knows this, and people who run Spartans know this. I think the greatest evidence that Spartan is accomplishing its goal, and the reason that they can say with confidence you'll know at the finish line, is because when you sign up to do a Spartan race, you are very clearly committing to something that's bigger than where you are in that moment. All right? Think about that for a second. Even if you go on the website, I'm not paid, I'm not an ambassador or anything like that for Spartan. But if you go on their website, which you should, go check it out, Spartan.com. There's a plug for you. But it doesn't just say sign up for a race. It says commit to a race. Commit to the trifecta. Commit to the world, to the trifecta pass. Commit to this, commit to that. That's the language that they're using here. Just saying sign up for this or come be a part of that. It's using very specific language of commit. Commit to this race. Commit to the sprint. Commit to the beast. Commit to the trifecta. Commit to this journey. Commit to this experience. They're very intentional in using that word. So there's this immense common respect, because anytime you see another Spartan that shows up at that starting line, you know that regardless of where you've come from, that you and that other person have committed to the exact same thing. Even though your end result might look different, you've committed to the same thing. I think this is so significant is because I am from Michigan. I'm here in Geethio and Sparta right now to run this race with 2,000 other people. And while I am very aware that there are probably only 3 other black people here, there's a lot of people from all over the world that came to this event for this one reason, because of something that they were committed to. What makes it even more incredible is, take me for example. I pulled my groin or my hamstring a couple weeks ago playing football, cold. Messed up my shoulder a week before that practicing gymnastics. My training wasn't consistent anyway, so I can't even use those as excuses as to why I wasn't in better shape coming into this. But if you talk to other people who had broken bones in their feet, they had shoulder stuff, rib issues, all kinds of stuff, and they continued to show up, and they're still here for this event. It tells you something about the level of commitment that they have. They're going to put in the work to get the desired outcome, whatever it takes. And just now as I'm standing here, I see another guy who's wearing the same shirt as me, dap him up, and we say, congrats, man, because we know what we went through together. It's incredible. I don't know his name, don't know where he's from, but because we're both repping this shirt, it tells us something about what we're standing for in this moment. I think a question that we need to ask ourselves, not just once, but on a regular basis, if anything more than to remind ourselves, but just to find out if there is actually anything that we are really serious about that note on. And the question is, what are you committed to? Or are you committed to anything? And the next logical, once you answer that question, you may say yes, you may say no. It's okay. I think answering it is the most important thing to start with. But if your answer is yes, and there's something that you identify with, and there's something that you say, yeah, this is what I'm committed to. My follow-up question would be, how do you know? And maybe better yet, not how do you know? Because we all think we're committed to stuff, but how do people around you know that you're committed to that thing? Too often we take the concept of commitment as an idea and something that stays up here as opposed to something that you can see. And I think that's a mistake. I believe that when you are truly committed to something, that it becomes visible in other areas of your experience, and it takes precedence over some of the other areas. I believe that it can take precedence over some of the other areas in your life. For example, the couple thousand of us that were out here running this race, I mentioned that we were from all over the country. The race was painful. It hurt. I'm sore right now. I'm going to get a massage later, trying to get my body right, because I got gymnastics this coming week in Acrofest. But the thing is, we're all out there struggling through this race, sore, cramping up. And I can't tell you how many times I would run past somebody, a face that I'd seen before, and you dap them up, hey man, you got this, and keep going. And everyone's encouraging each other. We're helping each other over obstacles that we wouldn't be able to do on our own, or struggling to get it done. And everyone just wants to see everyone finish because of what we're all committed to. We get it. There's an understanding there. It's common. Started the whole event, the whole trifecta weekend, with a parade of nations, and you see all the different countries that are represented. I think more than 76 is what the official number was. And yet, when you're on that course, everyone is brothers. Everyone is family because of what you're working towards, trying to get to that finish line. Giving hugs to people, I don't even know their names. Like, I mentioned that I had a cramp struggling going up one of the hills, and somebody says, hey man, I got a gel for you. Take this, it'll help with the cramp. You'll be all right, you can do it. Keep on pushing, keep on working. And there's just this give and take that continues to go between every racer who's out there, because none of the other stuff matters. Right now, the Spartan culture is what matters more than anything else, and everyone wants to help everyone else complete that goal. Maybe the most interesting thing about it is there are definitely, if you look at the elite racers, the ones who are sponsoring all that, there are definitely racers who make this look super easy. I mean, they're running, they're able to just plow through. Like, these elite racers are running the race in half as much time as I am. And I don't think I'm terribly out of shape. But when you look at what these elites are doing, it's on a completely different level. It doesn't compare. It doesn't compare. But there's something about the shared suffering that brings everyone together. That concept of, you went through pain, whether it was the pain of training to get to this point so you could run this race more efficiently, or whether it's the pain that you experienced during the race and after the race because you didn't train efficiently. That shared pain is what brings people together in this common goal, in this common respect and understanding of those who have committed to the same thing. When I think about it like that, I don't know if I can think of suffering so much as a negative thing. Bear with me here. I think when we consider that all of us suffer, that's something that brings us all together because it's a shared experience. It's a shared struggle. And it's not about who struggled more, who had more pain, or who struggled less, because we all realize that we're all going through that same struggle. That's what we know at the finish line. No matter how many burpees, no matter how many failed obstacles, no matter how many penalty loops, you understand that every single person who showed up at the start and made it across the finish line, put in that work, went through the struggle, experienced some pain, and they got it done. It didn't matter which of the 76 countries any of us came from. Over the last 3 days, and within Spartan race culture, all of us, all 2,000 of us, were Spartans first before any of the other countries that we came from. We were all Spartans. We are all Spartans. When it comes to people that all you can do is look at them and smile and dap them up because you don't understand each other's language. Still brothers, same struggle, same fight, same commitment, same respect, same culture. So this is where I get brutally honest. Some people might try to cancel me for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I think that the Spartan culture, the Spartan race culture, is stronger and more effective than Christian culture. Dare I say even Adventist culture at times. When we look at the way that we break down religion and people groups, everyone is so focused on proving that you've suffered more than the next person and why you should be valued more than the other. Man, I saw a guy out there on the course over these last 3 days on crutches with one leg. What do I have to complain about? 2,000 people out here, and this man is on this course going up and down these hills. 4 miles, 5 miles, 8 miles, 16 miles on the last day on crutches with one leg. Are you kidding me? And we're out here trying to outdo each other in terms of who's suffered the most and who's experienced the most pain. What kind of finish line are we aiming for with that kind of mentality? Is it evident that we've committed to the same thing, even though that's what we say? Is our commitment visible, or are we getting too caught up in trying to outdo each other for who's owed more in society moving forward today? Like, what are we aiming for? What's the finish line we're aiming for here? We spend too much time complaining that my starting line was back here and someone else's starting line was halfway closer to the finish line, instead of realizing that we're all going through a struggle. We should all have the same goal. We've all committed to the same thing, and trying to make that look like we're supporting each other to get towards that end goal, no matter what everyone else's struggles are, no matter what your background is, no matter what country you're coming from. It's ironic that one of the biggest reasons that people give for not believing in God is the problem of suffering. And yet God himself came down with the express purpose to suffer, and not just to suffer for suffering's sake, but to best identify with us, to show us that there's a common finish line and a common commitment that we can all be a part of to get there, that we're all in this thing together, and that we can all encourage each other no matter where we are in our spiritual fitness journeys to get to that finish line. When I think of what Christ did for us, realizing that he came to die for every single human, regardless of their background, regardless of their country, regardless of whatever privilege we might think this person or that person has, he came to suffer for each and every one of us to level the playing field. I think, to me, that's the greatest show, the greatest display of commitment and what it means to follow in his footsteps. I made a few friends down here, and we started out running some of the races together. And in the last one, his blisters were a lot worse than mine. He knew he was going to have to do a lot more penalties than I would probably have to do. He knew there were some obstacles that he wouldn't be able to complete successfully because of the disadvantage that he had. And he said, run my race. He told me to run my race. He didn't want me to stick with him the entire time. And I said, you're right. And the reason that was okay is because we both had help at different parts in our experience. We both had different struggles, but we were both able to meet back up again at the finish line, understanding that by running our own races and by encouraging and being encouraged by the people around us, we still accomplished the exact same goal. At least 2,000 Spartan racers from all over the world paid a lot of good money to fly out here to Greece, paid a lot of good money to run in these Spartan races, to experience the pain, to experience the suffering, to experience the sore muscles, to experience some dude tore a biceps out here, to experience all of that, and to experience this joint brotherhood, this joint commitment, this common understanding of what it means to be in harmony with one goal and to see it through to the end. Why is it easier for me to see the commitment of a Spartan racer than it is for me to see the commitment of most Christians and people who follow Christ, when he is by far the greatest example and the greatest leader, the greatest inspiration the world has ever known? How is our commitment visible to that standard? Is it more than just an idea that's up here? Is it something that you can see people willing to put themselves through pain and struggling and this sense of brotherhood for? Is it something that we know what the target is, what the finish line is, and that we're all working towards, be it at our own pace and be it through our own different struggles and limitations? But is that something that we're working towards? I say it because I know I can do better, for sure. And I think we can all do better. And I think we owe it to the people around us, the people who hear of the commitment that we say that we have. We owe it to them to do this thing right and to represent and to help each other as best as we can to get across this finish line. We're going to intersect with different people at different parts of their races. And we may not be able to stick with the same person all the way through their race. They gotta run their race, we gotta run ours. But when we do have those paths, can we encourage them that we're working towards the same finish line? Does the way that I live my life show that I understand that we're all suffering, albeit in different ways? There's nothing more valuable about mine than theirs. We're all going through the same kinds of pains and struggles. We all experience that. And yet we can all work towards the same goal. How does my life show that? How does my commitment evolve from just being some kind of theoretical idea into something practical that the people around me can see? Until the things we say we are committed to become visible, unless they become visible, we cannot truly say we are committed to that thing. It's very easy to see 2,000 Spartans' commitment over this last weekend. And I wish it were just as easy to see what it looks like for a committed Christ follower to help those and to be a benefit to those around them too. I wish. It's a high standard to live up to, but I believe it's possible. I think we can do that. But I probably said that in a lot more words than I needed to. But the good thing is it's getting close to 4, and it's getting close to that time I need to get that massage. So it's the Buff Missionary, and we out from Sparta, from Greece, from Geethu. I'll catch you when I get back home. Peace.